is Getting Real on Wednesday. This is our first one. We're starting a new service for contemporary worship, which will be 9:30 a.m. on Sunday mornings. We're not going to have a sermon like you would think. We're not going to just stand here and talk to you. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce a topic on Wednesday, and then we want you to ask questions. We want to know what part of you gets stirred up. We want to know what you agree with or don't agree with. And then on Sundays, we'll have a discussion about that. You can post your comments, your questions, your concerns on this feed. And on Sunday, we'll deal with some of those. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be your grandma's church, but it should be a good way that we could reach out to our community.
Yeah, so you're probably out there and there's stuff you're like, man, I always wish they would talk about this, or I wish they would help me understand that. That's kind of that's what our contemporary service for the COVID season. We're going to try and engage where you are. So.
And that's why we're calling it Getting Real on Wednesdays, because we're not going to shy away from some difficult topics.
Are you saying that sometimes the church gets fake?
I'm saying that sometimes the church gets a little scared.
Let's take the mask off and get real.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to do. The topic for today is, why do bad things happen? And Nolan, we deal with a lot of bad things in life. Why is that so?
So we could talk for hours about that. There's folks have written books and all kind of things, and I think at the biggest level is recognizing that there are all kind of different bad things. I think there's kind of thinking about where bad things come from, but gosh, I mean, just the first thing I think about is, I mean, we just watched Hurricane Laura slam Southwest Louisiana, Lake Charles, and thinking about destruction and pain and struggle, and people who are trying to make it through a pandemic, and dealing with COVID and all this stuff, and just when you look around in the natural world, it seems that over and over again you just have stuff that stinks. I mean, it's just really hard to deal with, and so you have a pandemic, you have a flu outbreak, you have a hurricane, you have earthquakes and fires. I mean, California's burning. I mean, it's just all kind of things. Right. And when you look, there's just a lot of bad.
You were talking about natural bad things, but there's another kind of bad things that happen too. Sometimes they're man-made bad things.
Sure.
That can be through medicine or through science. Look at COVID. Supposedly started in
someone made a really bad choice.
Yeah, somebody made a really bad choice, and now it's happening all over the world. And sometimes it's just man-made decisions. As you know, this is not my only job. I do have a full-time job outside the church, and at that job, somebody made a decision, made a choice to say something that wasn't true, and now I'm dealing with the consequences of that. And it's hard sometimes to go show up at work and say, I didn't do nothing. Why is this being done? Why is this happening?
So it really sounds like there's the whole question of why does this happen?
Right.
But really it kind of sounds like part of what the thing is the truth is bad things happen.
Right.
And it's really, what are you going to do in the face of bad things?
Right. And I think we're all faced with that choice a lot of times in our life, whether we like it or not. And sometimes when we don't even realize it, we have a choice of how we're going to respond to the things that happen to us. We can either choose to respond the way that we instinctually feel. We can choose to respond out of our own mind.
Yeah.
Or we can take a breath and choose to respond with the positive
in a different way.
In a different way.
I think that's the real issue, and I think so many of the things that happen in our culture are kind of that reactive, instinctive thing where before we even think, we get mad and we get even, or we say something we wish we hadn't, and that kind of thing, and so we end up making it worse.
Right.
And and the thing is, I think we have a great model in faith. There's lots of things that we can lean on, but really thinking about how do we actually do that, and what does it look like, when you're in the grocery store, or when you're at work, or when you watch a hurricane, to go, how am I going to do this differently?
Right. I think that would be a really good topic of discussion for Sunday.
Perhaps you agree.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, one of the things I think about is, as we think about you out there in South Baldwin County or internet world land, is what do you think about this? How do you respond? I mean, what happens? I mean, have you I'm sure you've got terrible stories of what people have done or what you've done, but what does it look like when you do take the breath or show up differently? How do you make that happen? What do you do to handle this? But yeah, I mean, just so what get to quote our friend Jim, what gets stirred up in you when you start thinking about bad things happen in the world and we got a choice on how we respond?
That's my favorite question. How do you feel about that? So what we'd love for you to do is to comment below with your questions, your comments, any stories that you might want to share, and then join us 9:30 Sunday morning. We're going to do some worship, but then we're going to spend about 20 minutes just discussing bad things, why bad things happen, and how we can choose to respond in a better way. So we look forward to seeing you. We're so glad you joined us tonight, and we will see you Sunday